Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the coverage of the top eight for the Magic Beans Invitational qualifying Explorer League. I'm Tyz, and above me on the screen is Jmud, and possibly with some guest commentary from Plunksy, we'll be bringing to you the top eight matches, and we look to have some absolutely sensational matches ahead of us. As you can see on the screen, the league is brought to us by Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. They are a excellent Facebook auction group for Magic singles and the occasional sealed goodness as well. You can also find some premium auctions on the weekends. You can find them on, I believe it's gpmtgbazaar.com.au or just .com, one of the two. Or you can search them on Facebook. You'll find them there. J-Mod, what are we playing for in this exciting league?
In this exciting league, the Beans Explorer League for winter 2023. You can see on the screen here the league prizes. First place 150 all the way down to 25 each for those that are going to lose here tonight. Plus, of course, the all-important invitational points for qualifying for the Beans Invitational at the end of the season. Now, what
Now
you
we
can
have
see,
here,
go on,
sorry.
after you.
No, I totally trampled over you there. What we have is the league format for this event. We started with a two-tiered group phase or stage one, in which I picked up less than 3 wins, I'm pretty sure, and that was the end of my participation. 20 players in each group, round robin over just over a month, and the top 10 players from each group stage advanced to the next stage, stage two. And what did we see there, Jamin?
Fewer matches in stage two because we were down to just the top 10 competitors from each of those groups. And we played out Swiss rounds on this occasion and contrived to have some very close standings by the end of 6 rounds of Swiss matchups. Top eight, well, going from the second on the ladder all the way down to 15th, we had 4 wins and 3 wins. So basically about 2/3 of the ladder, slightly more than 2/3 of the ladder, were all divided by 1 win and tiebreakers. The division between 8th and 9th, that is Insanity, scraped into the top eight by just, he had exactly the same match win percentage and exactly the same opponent match win percentage, but he had won a few more games than the unfortunate 9th place, Joffrey Bieber.
And if that had not been able to separate them, I believe the next tiebreaker was you communing with your elders with some sort of ritual sermon. Is that right?
Or whoever takes fewer mulligans in the opening.
Okay, and this is the top eight we were left with. And you can see they're seated as well. Azzy G, Insanity, Mark Warbank, Penchair, Aragoth, Some Scrub, Wonga Sith, and Darkanus were our top eight. And as like I said, as you can see on the screen, that those matches are seeded. The bracket is seeded, and that's important because the higher seed gets the player draw decision in game one. Correct? Yes, game one.
That's right.
For each of the matches. And
Speaking
the
of
first
insanity,
match will be. Sorry, go ahead.
speaking of insanity, he's up for the first match that we'll be watching tonight. The Azzy G, who was the only competitor in the top eight to not trouble the scorecards. He won all 6 of his Swiss matchups, and he's up against Insanity, who's just scraped in. Whose deck is this we're looking at here?
This is the Azzy G's.
That's right.
Azzy.
Plunk's here. As you use deck list in front of you, as you see. We've got spirits.
Who's that? Who are we listening to right now?
That's some scrub.
Plunksy.
Plunksy.
Some
I just
scrub.
popped in. Don't mind me.
So this is the deck that beat them all. What do we know about this deck? Other than it's
So I played its Pioneer Cousin, and its Pioneer Cousin had a lot less white in it. The interesting things about this is the Singleton Catilda, or good old Waltzing Catilda, as I believe I've dubbed it on a previous stream, and the Invasion of the Cobra Commander, Gobakhan. Those are the spell. Oh, and Spell Queller as well, but still heavy blue, but all white sideboard. What do you make of the white sideboard there in particular? Anything jumping out at you?
me. Look, I every time I see Settle the Wreckage, I know I have flashbacks. But the sideboard full of white. it means it's hard to know what he's playing after delving into that sideboard.
It really moves to sort of more of a fish build, I think. I mean, the spirits is always fish adjacent anyway.
And now
We move now into Insanity's deck, which is also an all-white sideboard, but also an all-white main deck.
a little bit more straightforward to understand this one. Get him down and swing. Get him down, go white and swing.
So the interesting thing to me about this deck is the Redains in the sideboard. That was one of the few successes I had in the Explorer format was with Redain. It's a bit of a forgotten card from its time in Standard, where it was pretty good.
I love me a
Um,
Redain. I can't
yeah.
see it being particularly useful against the spirits,
No,
but
and we won't spend too long on this before we get into the matches. I think that's what we're all here to see. But how do you see this one shaping out?
they're both aggressive. The
Mm.
spirits is particularly useful from my experience when I end up playing against it. It's particularly useful in disruption as well as aggressive. Whereas there's not much for the spirits to disrupt here in the white weenie deck. It's very likely that the white weenies will get down and start attacking, and all the spirits will be doing is trying to block the buggers.
Yeah, I actually, like it's hard to argue with 6-0 in the Swiss rounds, but I kind of don't see much of a chance um for Azzy G unless he gets a grip just full of the ability to pump, like Mausoleum Wanderer getting a lot of activations and maybe a multiple Supreme Phantom hand. Because I think white's creatures are just better and bigger and better, so that I really don't like the ability of spirits to race. But I could be wrong.
I want to see that settle the wreckage.
Yeah, the singleton set of the wreckage, just bringing the wreck,
Bringing the
or maybe
pain.
just wreckage. Anyway, let's see how we go. And we'll be viewing this from Azzy G's perspective. It should be pointed out as well.
Righto.
Speaking of a multiple Lord hand, there's three Supreme Phantoms.
Now, these were open deck lists, weren't they? So
Yes.
Azzy knew that he was going up against white weenies from the outset.
And therefore coerced with Arena to give him a triple Supreme Phantom draw. The second Rattle Chains is important too, I think. Oh no, sorry, Rattle Chains. I was thinking of Shacklegeist.
Now that's an
Shacklegeist
invasion.
is going to do work. Here comes the Cobra Commander.
I've not seen this invasion before. What does this one do?
It elites it spellbinders them, and when you flip it, it turns into a glorious anthem for attacking creatures. And you can also sacrifice it to give at the least hexproof, but possibly indestructible as well. Let me just double check that. Yeah, hexproof and indestructible. So when it's flipped, you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature that attacked this turn in your end step, and you can sacrifice it to give hexproof and indestructible to the board. Now, it's not so useful against this particular hand that Azzy G's got, but I think that Tali is going to secretly do a lot of work.
Not so secretly.
Was that a post-combat Adelaide? That's unfortunate. It's a pretty Otawara art.
Okay. What's his battle?
Yeah, battle's going to flip here, and it's going to further grow the
On entering?
Rattle Chains.
Oh, it costs something.
Yeah, the Talia increases its cost.
Ah.
That's bold. Gonna trade a Talia here for Oh, he's seen Brave the Elements in his hand. That's what it is. Trade Talia, and he's also trading Talia for a fair old whack. If he doesn't want to.
Well.
Oh, I didn't expect that, Arganjo. That's huge.
And already white owns the board.
And with Brave the Elements in hand, we could realistically be looking at a,
Quick swing.
yeah, like a very large swing here. It's going to be 3, 5, 6, 8, 9.
We're
He's
definitely keeping that on
a
defense.
creature away from lethal already. I mean, it's not really lethal because the Mutavault can be blocked even through Brave the Elements, but it's still very dangerous.
And what are we keeping our mana up for? Rattle Chains has flash, right?
Yep.
So there's a blocker there.
It could also just be to save with Slip Out the Back because he knows he's got Brave the Elements. So if he's looking for a Rattle Chains trick here, then Brave the Elements kind of does stop that in its tracks. So this is ostensibly lethal. Oh, Rattle Chains gives all your spirits flash, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's good for the Spirits deck. What's that? Yep.
So this is not quite lethal because the Mutavault can still be blocked, but it's going to put Azzy G in a really tough position.
Well, the Spirits are on defensive, and that's not where they want to be.
That's not a land he needed. I think what he really needed there was a Shacklegeist to be able to start tapping some of the board. But really, I don't see much of what he can do here.
Still swinging in for the attack with that instead of using him defensively. Don't see him surviving the swing back.
Well, he can at the moment. Oh no, there's another Mutavault. Actually, no, that doesn't matter.
They won't be able to attack. Phasing it out. Okay. Defending an attack for this.
Actually,
turn.
this is all of a sudden. This
Another surprise block.
he almost didn't need to cast the Rattle Chains.
One unknown card. Oh, he's got it.
Yeah.
Well
I
done.
kind of wasn't really adding up in my head the damage that all the Lords were going to add up to.
Okay, so what is he moving on for? Siding in. Yep, there you go. There's the wreckage. Wreckage play. That's what I'm waiting.
Does he bring in the, I was about to say Skyclave Apparition.
Wait, the wreckage left. No, it's still there. He's thinking about it. Needs some white dudes so that color evasion isn't so straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah, Portable Hole seems really good here.
Yes, it does.
And he took Shacklegeist out. Interesting. I guess he's just decided that he's not going to play any sort of slow control. It's just going to be the. I'm blanking on the term I'm looking for. Just the real tempo. Take a 1 or 2 mana off from attacking to maybe Portable Hole something. That's about it.
Try and disrupt White's board building.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one to start with.
It's a good 1/2 drop, like 2 creatures on the board, and you have 3 up. 3 damage coming in, I should say. Oh,
Nice.
Now, was that Coppercoat Vanguard that just came down?
Not anymore.
Yeah. Operative word there being was. It seems like a much better start for Azzy G, and he won the last match, so he's got to be feeling pretty good about himself right now. That's a fantastic turn 3. Interesting.
Bit of card draw.
I'm intrigued by why he didn't play a pre-combat Supreme Phantom into a tapped out board if he was going to play a post-combat. Oh, that's a nice draw. We take.
Got more control coming out of the white deck too, post sideboard. Oh, there's another one. Yeah.
That's some good emoting. Oh, that's
Too-
not what he wanted to see.
Too
Some
much land for our lucky hero here.
curse of Avon. Let's hope he doesn't start the Avon descent.
No, they're no fun.
Of course. Ooh, clever. I like that. Swing wide, Sweet Chariot.
All right, we need some action.
That's going to cause some action. At least it's not a land. Now, I kind of feel like this game looks very good for Insanity, but I thought that last time. So I just apparently shouldn't be underestimating.
I think Mr. G
As a
played it
G under
very
any
well.
circumstances.
Brutal Cathar here is already transformed, which means
Yeah.
one double spell away from transforming again and nicking.
Yeah,
What's
that's
that?
I was just about to say. He's two spells away from what feels like an absolute completely blowout. Wait, Catilda
Saving
has
his.
protection? It's protection from vampires. For a second, I thought it had protection from werewolves, but it does not.
Okay, we've got a double surprise block now, but that board is getting wide real quick. Okay, Spell Queller.
Play the second Vanguard to flip your Cathar back and take the spell queller.
The flip being earned, but is he going to attack or wait until it flips?
He would, yeah, just attack with everything that's not the first strike. Although, given that it's got first strike, he could attack with. Oh no, he's playing around Flash Creature, which is the correct thing to do. I was about to say something very silly.
What we got here? And now, unfortunately, oh, what's that do?
Oh, it gives it hexproof,
Well done.
but
Azzy
Sigh,
G
another
showing
land.
exactly how he managed to go 6 wins undefeated in the second stage.
The interesting thing about this Catilda is that it gives lifelink, which really changes the dynamic.
Might not be enough.
3-6. Oh yeah, it's just enough to kill him, I think. Yeah. Nice draw.
Where's my Settle the Wreckage?
It's in there. I was about to say I agree with not changing anything in sideboard here. The only thing that he could do, in my opinion, is if he wanted to move into the control element and then maybe try and play something like Wedding Announcement. But I don't think that's his best play.
His best play is clearly to try and draw into fewer land.
Yeah. It's some good analysis. And land go is probably not how he wanted to start.
Imagine.
How aggressive would you be with these portable holes?
Not for that fellow. Portable holes don't hit the Cathar though, do they?
No.
Target.
That might be something I'd consider portable holing.
Okay, we've got all of the mana we need now.
It's actually smarter than I thought it was a certainty to take the Talia's Lieutenant, but portable hole on portable hole is backbreaking if you take Talia's Lieutenant.
That's a good point. Very good point. Now, how are we going to deal with this Cathar?
Try not to cry a lot.
Another Thalia. So he'll get a bounce back. But he's got a spell collar up now, so he won't be blown out
Yep.
by whatever comes.
Adeline here? Nope, wrong. I was trying to make a guess.
It's possible Insanity's playing around Spellquiller now it's been seen.
Yeah, definitely. Especially like it's so significant that it was seen in game 2.
Mm. Okay, we're going to start getting a race.
Mind you, I don't think there's, unless it was a second Talia's Lieutenant, I don't think there was overly much that he would have been baiting with the Coppercoat Vanguard.
Representing something here by paying 2 life to get that one in.
Hmm.
And nope, sorry, he doesn't. Card draw and Spectral Sailor. How much does that cost? A lot, isn't it?
4.
4.
Yeah. That's a nice draw.
Well, it's nice that he can hold up and maybe draw a card. I'd be on defensive, but what do I know?
If he tries to double spell here, he's got the Rattle Chains to deny the Cathar effect. Or a portable hole or anything like that. Speaking of.
Comes the first of the double spells.
If he has a second spell he can cast here, it's going to be a bit nasty.
Second ossification followed by transforming Cathar.
Yeah.
Not afraid to attack. First strike is not an issue. There we
Ooh.
go. You're all blue. Don't bother blocking me.
He's got a Mutavault back that he can block with if he wants.
Take care of the 1/1. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, he has to block the 1/1 here, I think, just to control Adeline's power. Otherwise it goes to like 4+ next turn. Oh, and it's 33 because of the Phantom as well.
Could double block Adeline.
Could do for sure.
Hang on, no blocks.
Whoops.
Oh, because it could no, she can't double block because the
Oh yeah, Adeline. Yeah, sorry. Yes. There was only one possible blocker.
There's Cathar doing its work. Okay,
That's a nice draw.
Surely it's
Because the Cathar's only got Ward 1. Or I have to look this up on the deck list. Yeah, it's got Ward 1, so he gets his stuff back.
Go straight to the battlefield. See, that seems like a. I'd have smashed it, slammed it by now.
Well, by paying Ward 1, it takes away the ability to activate Mutavault. I think getting 2 creatures back is better than the ability to activate Mutavault, but that's just me.
Well, you do have a white creature up your sleeve, so you can't do the Brave the Elements entirely. But he's got enough creatures on board that blocking 1's not going to be enough when he swings in with everyone. So you're right. At this stage, he's sort of. I hope he doesn't have Brave the Elements.
Oh wow!
Well, that's a better use of Brave the Elements.
And he doesn't have any sideboard either. He had both of his 2 copies in his hand on that turn.
Just 2 copies. Okay, I was about to wonder if he'd have a 3rd copy up his sleeve.
Yeah, I quickly checked that in the deck list. So the interesting thing here is that the board's at like somewhat approximate parity. You should know there's no more Brave the Elements threat. But Insanity has to be aware of the crackback here.
It's going to take a lot to take out Adeline, and he's going to offer that trade.
I think it's definitely worth Skyclave plus one of your other creatures, depending on if he wants cards or not, as to whether or not which other one he gives up.
He wants cards. That's
Well, it's not that he doesn't want cards. It's that is he prepared to hold 4 back to get them?
he won't be able to. Yeah, that's a very slow card draw engine. You don't play the Spectral Sailor for the card draw.
No, it's just bonus prize.
Too slow against this aggression. 6/4. It's a must block. It's a bad chump. Which one do you get rid of? You get rid of the Sailor because you just can't afford to pay for that card draw and expect to live.
Yeah. And he triple blocks, which is actually very intelligent, because the thing that had just occurred to me just when I was going to wait till after he blocked to say it is that if he had double blocked, Iganjo would be a blowout.
Well, you and SEG are both thinking around the correct cards there.
Mind you, Rattle Chains is 2-1 on the cardboard itself, so he could have double. No, he couldn't. Sorry, don't mind me.
No one's got first strike here. Oh, hang on, he's going to take a hit. Keep one up his sleeve.
Again, I think the only thing that makes sense to me, given what Insanity could have, is that he's playing around Iganjo.
Why wouldn't you try and block the 2-1?
Because the only thing you could block it with was the Lord, and it was Iganjo. Oh, that's a real roughie, that one.
Settle the wreckage. No.
And I think that's game.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Sorry, Mutavault. So it's not game this turn. Still got one more turn to draw Settle the Wreckage. Never mind. No, wait, sorry. That only was still put into 1.
It's his entire team.
Oh, I forgot about the token that it creates. Yeah, that's game.
Not enough. No, that's
1, 2, 3.
2 creatures unblocked.
Yeah, at the very least, he has to take 5.
Mono White doing it. And after an unbeaten run in the Swiss stages, SEG
drops out in the
unceremoniously dumped at the outset of the top 8.
On top of the Swiss curse.
It was a 2-1. He pulled out a good win in that first game.
Yeah, I thought he was dusted. I mean, I was writing his eulogy for 4 turns before he won.
Right, who are we up next? We've got Mark Wildbang and Penchair, I believe.
Hey guys, Producer Plunks here. Just jumping in. I realised as well, so we have Mark Wallbang versus Penchair. Mark Wallbang is Rotors, who is the recorder of this film, and he forgot to record game 1. So we can all guess what happened. Let's just have a look at the deck list. You guys can tell us what you think, and then we're going to start from game 2.
Can you quickly check or just let us know who won game 1 so that we can...
Oh, that's what we're going to guess. We're going to guess by looking
We're going to guess? Okay, we're going to look at the deck list and guess who won game 1. Okay.
This is Mark Wallbang.
So,
And
or
Penshare?
White. Is that that's very similar to Insanity's deck there. Any key differences that we're picking out?
Soul
Significant.
Partitions and Brave the Elements. One more Brave the Element, I should say. It also has Luminarch Aspirant, which I don't think Insanity had. And other than that, it's just the number differences. There is a Tactical Chef at Dunes, which I don't think Insanity had.
And then Penche is just going to be playing Rakdos mid-range, right? That's what he's been playing
Yeah,
every other
obviously, that's what
league.
he always
Yeah.
does.
Oh,
But of course.
Wait, what?
must have the wrong
There's some
deck
red
list.
cards.
Hang on.
Is
Yeah, no, this is definitely Penche. What has he done?
Bit of creativity.
He's been, one might say he's been real creative with his deck choice.
Hmm.
Sorry, I'm just playing the part of Chewy tonight.
Is Mono White going to give this deck enough turns to kick off creativity? How's he going to survive those first couple of swings?
Spikefield has it in Volcanic Spite, I believe.
And then getting rid of Negate and Spell Pierce as soon as he can.
I guess, yeah, Fiery Impulse is also quite useful. So he's got some interaction early to slow him down. And yeah, there's some. I don't think the counterspell is going to do too much from here.
So just for viewers at home, if they haven't seen this in Explorer yet, this is a PT winning deck, Xenagos and Wellspine Worm.
Okay.
The combo is
Needs to interact.
Indomitable Creativity is basically a fight, and I win the game.
Oh, wow. Yes, I see. It
World
makes your
Spine
creature
Worm
a
is a
30/30
30/30. Yeah, trample, haste, creature. When Xenagos
Bring
hits
it
the battlefield, it pumps it at the beginning of combat, and boom, 15/15 becomes a giant, I win. So let's see how it goes. Yes, Penche does win game one, and I'm sorry we get to miss that. But let's press play.
Oh, I didn't. I would not have called that.
I would definitely. I already called Mono White before I understood. I still don't understand the combination, but I do know there is one.
My best guess is either a very fast combo or a lot of key removal. I guess the combo only needs 5 mana to go off, right? It's just your 5 mana and 2 things to target with creativity.
Right. Brings it out. Got it. Yeah, I've seen that before. Yeah. Various variations of that theme. For the viewers at home, Mark Wallbang and Penche were 4th and 5th placed in the top 8 after the 6 rounds of the Swiss, and they both had exactly the same tiebreakers, right down to game wins, and it was determined that Mark would get the honour of choosing play or draw based on the fact that he had beaten Penche in the first stage in their matchup.
Oh, so not even in the Swiss, in the in the first phase of play.
Right. In the first
Wow.
stage during the round robins in their matchup, they happened to play and Mark won.
How greedy are we going to be? No greed at all, which was probably correct. I would have kept that and been very upset when I lost stalled on 2 lands. What are you putting back here?
Talia seems good. As in the 2-drop Talia, not her lieutenant.
Yeah, Talia's huge.
Brave the Elements is only on creatures you control, right? Yeah, get rid of that.
Yep.
You can't use it to disrupt the combo. Oh, that's a sacrifice anyway, so it wouldn't work. I think it's a sacrifice.
What is?
No, it's not actually. I've had people sideboard incorrectly against me. It's destroy target. So you can even destroy your opponent's things with creativity. But
right,
you don't do it. You just target your own. So you can bounce it with Odorara, kill it, whatever you want in response.
That said, can't disrupt it with Brave the Elements.
Does he have a hazard or an impulse here? Well, actually, he's got Penche has 4 rending volleys in his sideboard as well, but he's got Fiery Impulse this time.
All right, get in there. It's well coming
but-
to. I'm barracking for the white weenies now. When did that?
Well, I guess if you don't have lands, then a group full of Thalia's lieutenants is the next best thing.
Not too shabby.
The first lieutenant's going to get 2 counters here as well. So this is 7 coming in.
Impulse.
That was anticlimactic. I was expecting a 2-mana spell of some description. I mean, impulse is one, but I meant a 2-mana removal spell is the phrase I was trying to get to there.
While
Yeah.
Penchair's deciding on impulse, I got context as well from Rotors. He emailed saying, sorry about not recording game 1. It was really close. He got Penchair to 2 life before he got killed by a worm.
Yep.
Those things happen.
Wow.
Sometimes it do be like that.
He's got to get the job done in the first 4 or 5 rounds, doesn't he?
So he's got Penchair to 10 life this time. He's hit his 4th land. So Penchair probably have some interaction this turn. How much damage can he do?
If he can land the Dauntless, then he's...
Yeah, if the bodyguard sticks, then I think it's game just because he's going to have a follow-up second
Oh. Seems pretty...
second spell.
It's just so expensive for Penchair to do anything thanks to the Talia.
Yeah,
Okay.
he had to do that here.
It's in board. Protect and swing, right?
I think did he have to choose a creature? Because he targeted the
Ah.
creature when it came down.
True. Yes.
Yeah.
So he's
So it's not going to be lethal this turn. But it's going to put him to, again, the dreaded 2 life. No, 3 life, I can't count.
I'm sure he's fine. Talia's protected. That's a good call. So we're not going to see creativity anytime soon. Yep, there we go. Into round 3. Well, I reckon
Straight to 3.
Mark is Mr. Walbang is happy, Rotars, with this build. Get in there as soon as possible.
Yep. Now, the one thing that might make this interesting that will change up from game 2 is that creativity will be on the play this time. And that might have been the difference in game 1 as well.
It shouldn't have been. Mark would have had the choice. He had the honours.
Oh, did he? Oh, okay, I was wrong. I thought Penchair was the high seed. Oh, no, that's right. We already covered this, didn't we? Mark Wallbang won in stage 1. I wonder if they're playing the same decks.
Hang on a minute. Mark's on the... No, he's not. He's just ready to go.
Yeah.
He's ready to go.
He showed this in the beginning of game 2 as well. He's the kind of player who likes to play with his land dragged out into play.
Well, it plays the type. Does Penchair have any counter magic that's going to hit a creature?
Make disappear if he kept it in.
So
I wouldn't have personally.
Hold on to Talia just in case Make disappears there.
He might have brought it back in on the play for specifically because it can counter
Well, here we
Talia.
go. We're about to find out. That's down. It's not getting removed now.
You can still kill it and instead, yeah.
There you go. Well, that's what Spikefield's for.
And here's the land prep.
He's ready. He's ready.
He's drawn all 4 recruitment officers.
Yeah. Drop them all down, right?
Just play 3 recruitment officers and not copper code. Actually, that might actually be more damage because he can copper code Vanguard next turn.
We wouldn't live probably, but does Penchair have any removal beyond 1 for 1?
Yeah, he has 2 Brotherhoods end in the sideboard.
Ouch.
So he's
Okay.
definitely slowed Mark Wahlberg down a lot more compared to the last game. But
He's only on 18. I mean, how's he going to win? How's Mark Wahlberg going to win?
yeah, that's kind of where I was going with my point there. Like he's not developing his win condition at all. It almost seems like he's turned his deck into a control build that like one turn kills with the combo, and I guess technically this deck always one turn kills. But he's gonna bring his tokens in and creativity them all on the same turn because he needs to keep mana back to keep his life total in check.
That's what he's doing.
Untapped Steam Vents pass is an interesting sequence. Maybe he's keeping mana up for impulse and something.
Now remind me, Brotherhood's End. What does that do?
That it deals 3 to each creature or destroys all artifacts with converted mana cost 3 or less. Sorry, 3 to each creature and each planeswalker, or destroys all artifacts with mana cost 3 or less.
With open deck lists, that's a incentive to not dump everything on the board.
And really, he only needs one recruitment officer, and then the next land turns it on, so he can just keep the hits coming by holding them back. Oh, big score. Well, he did have impulse and something. He just didn't cast the impulse.
There are 2 tokens that could be conveniently targeted next turn.
Land here is so he's now threatening the combo. That wasn't it.
What's our instant speed reaction response there?
Can he soul partition? Can he soul partition his own creature? He can. He can soul partition his own creature and then recast it for 2 extra.
Just save it. We'll
And
decide it.
soul partition actually exiles a non-land permanent as well, so it can remove the treasure tokens in response to creativity to turn off the combo.
Does Soul Partition effectively remove our comboing behemoth?
Yes,
Is
it
that what
would.
it's there for?
It can remove the combo it can remove it after the combo, or remove the token to mean that it can only fetch one half of it.
So that's what he's holding onto that for.
I would hold back this and okay. I would have considered holding the four mana back so that he can partition if he needs to, or end step wheel the recruitment officer. But then again, there's a reason I only had 3 wins.
Is he thinking I've just got to get in there as much as I can?
Well, with soul partition in hand,
Particularly worried about.
he's
big
only
guy.
worried about counterspell, which is not fiery impulse, make disappear. So if make disappear is still in, then he needs all 4 mana because, which would force him to. I forgot the name of what's the ability make disappear has? Casualty.
What else is going on here? Oh, so his board is. Oh no, that guy is protected. Or looting for combo.
So you got to think he's got either a counterspell in his hand or the creativity. If he's only pitched 1 card.
Or just more
If he's kept the
answers.
counterspells in his deck, if I were him, I would be looking to have each of them. And on 11 life with only one opposing creature on the board, he's got plenty of time for now at least, to hold it.
Whatever he's got in his hand, it's not a straightforward decision.
No.
It's not a clear path ahead for Mr. Penchett, but he's Someone's going to fight. Oh, we've got two
That's
answers now.
yeah, that's important. The other significant thing for Penche to consider is that his clock is going to disappear shortly-ish as when Castle Ardenvale comes online, which is one land away.
Yeah. Do we use Soul Petition to rescue our own very small guy? We spend our 4 mana trying to dig something up.
He can't spend 4 mana here. He's too vulnerable to the combo.
Yep. I suppose you might as well Soul. Tough call. How much does it cost to start generating soldiers?
5, including the land itself. So he needs 1 more land to do it.
It doesn't really want to draw another land either.
Not particularly. Although at this point it's not a terrible one more land would be fine. More than that starts getting annoying. Also interesting is that another thing Penche can do as the game, if this game continues to stall out any longer, is he can start making tokens with Mirax, which is not really the way you want to win the game, but you'll take it.
The open deck lists come into play, of course. Penshare is aware that Mark Wildbang, Rotar's handsight in the soul, the answer to his combo. So he might be playing around that, waiting. He's just seen 1 being spent on saving his small guy. What are the odds of him having another?
I would almost bank on it. You wouldn't spend your only soul partition on a token to save your recruitment officer. So he's got to know he's got it here. It's just a case of what can you do about it. The other significant thing actually I've just realized is that Reflection of Kiki-Jiki can make a copy of Worldspire Worm.
That is a thing. In response to, so the
There's
fact
interesting make disappear state in, but he can't cast it right now.
And Kiki, if he'd waited 1 more turn, Kiki-Jiki would be able to respond right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Instead,
Actually, yeah, by sequencing it this way, he's kind of hosed himself.
good call.
Now, the interesting thing is that if Mark Wallbang, if Penshare has Big Score or another, well, actually now that Adelin's just come down, it's got to be Big Score. I was about to say Fable, but Fable won't get in enough times. What I'm getting to is that treasures mean that Penshare can still cast that Worldspire Worm.
With treasures, he's got 3. Well, he'll eventually get 3 green mana. Until then, it's stuck in his exile zone. And very expensive. What is Xenagos doing there? Just pumping. Oh, of course, generate some tokens if he attacks.
And Xenagos makes the Fable token big enough that it's not profitable to block it.
And now it's not profitable to attack with the Mirror Breaker ready to duplicate.
At the moment, he can't kill it. He can make a treasure goblin to chump with. And keep his life total intact.
Wants to, yeah,
King
he
3
wants to
need
keep
he-
generating treasures. He's not going to give up the treasure generation tool just yet.
well, he's not going
Oh,
to get
no,
the
no,
treasure from it anyway because it's at the
sorry.
next end step, not your next step.
He could have he could have 3 treasures this turn with what's on board.
That's true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But he's not going to have enough to cast World Spy Worm because it costs 14 all up. Sorry, 13.
Oh, it doesn't matter. He's got a big score.
So he's definitely going to have enough treasures. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9.
The game plan definitely did not involve,
Hard casting a taxed World Spy Worm, but here we are.
but here we are. It's going to work out anyway.
Does he activate Kiki Jiki now to get an extra treasure? No.
Wait until this time. Wait until he can hard cast the worm and have Kiki Jiki up his sleeve to duplicate it in response.
It's a really intelligent hold of Hopeful Initiate from Mark Warbang because, as you mentioned a couple of times now, open deck lists, he would have seen that even though he's cast both the Soul Partitions that are in Mark Warbang's main deck, he's got 2 more on the sideboard. So any card being held is potentially another Soul Partition.
He's going to be protected from that in just one more turn. Dig, 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 dig. Mm.
I would lean towards Lieutenant here. Yeah. Oh, speaking of,
It's not enough because if it plays out, Mr. Mirror Breaker will be enough.
that's true.
One swing from our what is it? A worm?
Yep.
A big green beast. One swing from our worm should be sufficient. Yeah.
Yep. Well, it won't be lethal.
It'll be backbreaking.
Yeah,
It's
it'll
30
take
damage.
Adel and
Trample. It'll be lethal.
well, it won't be 30 because we're expecting Xenagos to copy World Spy Worm, Soul Partition to happen in response, and then Kiki Jiki to copy it. So there'll be 1 worm left that's hasting and coming in.
Oh, we're getting aggressive. Hang on. If he can force him to lose Kiki Jiki, that's not going to work out, is it?
No, yeah, right now the only thing that like Kiki Jiki can't is at least going to copy a Treasure Goblin, which means there's no point blocking with it. You would always just copy a Treasure Goblin rather than putting Kiki Jiki itself into service. Now he has to block with something here though because he is representing lethal damage.
Soul Partition him. No. Soul Partitioning Kiki Jiki this turn will stop the hasty attack from the
But then it doesn't stop the combo.
not long. No.
Oh, that's interesting. He's going to counter the
The worm
yeah,
itself
block
costs
or
13, right? He's only got 10 mana.
13. Yeah, at the moment he only has 10.
Okay.
So the worm won't come down next turn, I don't think.
What? Can't block the 5/5. He's still only getting 4 in. Art. Admirable. Lots of mana up his sleeve.
The one thing we haven't seen from Panchea in a few turns is any piece of removal. So
What's
like
in his hand? What's in
the
more
Talia
land?
putting the counter on Adel is really significant because it's taken it out of Rending Volley range. Mind you, it's now got 4 damage sitting there on it, so a Rending Volley here could be quite nice. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to have it.
All right, doesn't have the mana to hardcast the worm. which costs a whopping 13. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 10. Difficult to get aggressive. Pension just on pure defense. Doesn't have any handy ways to generate treasures. Ooh.
That's a great draw.
Well, the one thing about that land is they've already engaged the block. You can't move blockers prior to blocks with that land. It's what White wants to do right now.
I think he's trying to decide how he's gonna play. Whether he plays the land out and then has instant speed, human for Talia to avoid any double blocks or anything dodgy happening through blockers, or if he keeps the Iganjo in his hand as to use its channel. I think I would play Hopeful Initiate, keep the Iganjo in hand, and force him to block. And then you can use your Iganjo as the trick rather than the instant speed Castle Ardenvale trick. Two pieces of removal here is interesting if Penche's got them, because he can take out the lieutenant and still have removal back for any sort of gang blocking shenanigans. Gang blocking is also really hard to do into this board because the token and the recruitment officer are lethal, which basically means he has to single block. Again, depending on how much removal he's got in his hand.
He's got something in his hand. He hasn't been.
Or
Oh,
is he roping him? Are we seeing a rope out here in the top 8?
Just showmanship, guys. Showmanship.
That's smart. He could actually do that the other way as well and still have 2 blockers but not jeopardize any of his reflections.
Now Xenagos doubles power and toughness, yeah?
Correct.
So you got a good blocker.
Well, it doesn't say the word doubles, but yes, that is what it does.
What does it say if it doesn't say the word double?
Gets +X until end of turn, where X is its power. So it doesn't double toughness as such. Like on Adeline and on a bear Adeline, it would make it a 2/6.
Got it. Move.
Oh, interesting.
The artifact or enchantment.
He has to activate it here in response. He's got to. Unless he's got make disappear in his hand.
Being a just what he needed.
Sorry, make disappear doesn't stop that. That's an ability. I'm looking at the volcanic battle. Volcanic spite, I should say.
Good call.
He didn't activate it, which to me says he's got something he wants to do with his mana that isn't. There we go. Yeah, Soken Zone.
Okay, couple of good chumpers.
Yeah, that'll jump in front of Adeline for another turn as well.
Now, if he's got another creativity in hand, does he have anything else to creatively?
No. If he brought Hullbreaker Horror in, he would. But you think if he brought Hullbreaker Horror in, that he wouldn't have gone for that creativity that he did earlier in the game.
So creativity is a dead card in his hand.
Yes, right now, yeah. He needs his second Brotherhood's End and another removal spell.
And Adelin's just big enough. Get rid.
And that removal spell can't be Volcanics. Can't be Spikefield Hazard.
Oh. Closer to the worm.
5, 6, 8, 11. He's still 2 mana away.
Because he's been spending some of those treasures. So he's
Yeah.
digging and replacing.
Oh, there we
Oh.
go. That's a great draw. That is all she wrote. Look at just hovering it. It's like, look at this, look at this. I got it, I did it.
Play it now. Couldn't you do it in response to... No, because you just want to give him a chance to block. Yep.
Oh.
Casualty.
Good form, good form. We like that.
Definitely counted that spell. So White Weenie did get it done, only thanks to the disruption.
Mm.
The white flavored disruption. Good bit of sideboarding. Oh, no, you said there were 2 in the main deck.
Yeah. Oh, he drew 3 of them, so he definitely at least reached into the sideboard ones.
So good drawing there from Mark Wallbang. Well done. Now, I see. We've got some chump up next, playing crowd favorite and long-standing Beans contender, Mr. Aragoth. I have zero idea what they're playing. That is Pencho's deck. Yep. This has got to be Aragoth.
So we've got Mono Green Nixos.
Yeah,
Mono Green Devotion, I guess it's actually called.
I was on the wrong end of this deck a couple of times in the round robin and the Swiss, and it gets out of control. I like seeing I love seeing the Ceratops there, just a one-off, but that's enough to represent. And clearly he's had his issues with control decks. Any more in the sideboard? No more.
No, he's got a Khan Wishboard.
No, needs the tools for Khan. Yeah. Still good to see a Ceratops again. I like it.
It's a very, very good card. Very big fan.
All right. And okay. Rakdos Zakdos.
It's a real imaginative deck here coming out from Invitational Champion Plunksy.
Yeah. It's a oldie but a goodie. 1 Croxer. It's all about the devil and all about the cats.
The one thing that I really like about this build that I've seen a bit of, the version of it that I've been seeing more of lately, is the Unlucky Witness. I don't know if that's been in since day one or not, but I hadn't seen it too much until probably this sort of cycle of events. And I'm a big fan of that card, and so I'm really glad to see it finding a home in this deck. Other interesting things are the full 3 Thoughtseize and the full 3 Cat.
They still work, the old Thoughtseize. I never appreciate seeing that before I've had a chance to drop a land. Especially after a good mulligan, and you do lots of aggressive mulligan in the format, apparently.
I definitely don't. That's probably why I only won 3 games.
I was just thinking the same thing.
That's a really good hand for Plunks.
But Aragoth has the start, and which means we could be very quickly seeing something silly happening on the green side. 3 mana and drop a troll.
Pelucranos. Kiora.
Yep. That'll do it. Untap. Nope.
That's
Didn't use Kiora.
a mint Thoughtseize.
Boom. I'll have whatever it is you were planning on playing. Get rid of the card, surely. Almost disappointing to have a couple of duplicate Mythos there.
Now, the one thing I did that I didn't play a lot of red black in this format, but I did tinker around with a couple of mono red decks. And the one card that brought me success against this was Cleansing Wildfire. Just, I mean, there's very little relevance to this match because there's no land destruction of any description in Plunksey's deck. But that's one angle to consider attacking this from.
I had great success versing this green mono ramp deck with my Angels deck. But believe it or not, Angels just went bigger, quicker than the green deck.
Yeah, the only real way that I would expect green to handle Angels, especially if it gets going, is getting its early full combo into mana combo into being able to power out the 9-mana artifact.
So forced to dig for his third land. Producer Plunksey has found his third land, and it's just a question of whether or not. Yep, he's deciding to invest.
The treasure's not overly useful for him here, I don't think. The more useful thing I think is getting his cat back and being able to start ovening, which you'll be able to do.
Oh dear, going straight for the Pelucranos engine.
Oof.
Didn't waste any time. Big guy on the board that does all of that.
Mind you, one more land here for Plunksey will let him Furnace Rain and Oven and pitch it.
Thought we were going for a quick concede there, Producer Plunksey, but no, he's
Yeah, I was briefly worried about that. I was like, geez, you're not dead yet.
Yeah, sorry, my right click was malfunctioning. I usually right click on a creature and it just comes up all big, but just multiple times kept trying to click on that creature and it would not stay there. So sorry about that.
Oh, this is a good play. He can take the Pelucranos. Oh wait, he takes that one.
The other one.
He gets, and then he'll get the treasure to be able to cast Witch's Oven, which will then let him eat the Pelucranos.
Like you're reading his mind.
I still might have been tempted to get the
other one, though, was it that?
The other one that gives you a couple of worms on its way out.
But would the worms be on Plunksey's side?
Yeah, because it goes to your graveyard and triggers before it goes to its owner's graveyard. Or at least that's how I understand it.
Big guy coming right back at you. Well, I happen to have a Boseiju up his sleeve. That's unfortunate.
Aragoth's drawn really well out of this out of that Thoughtseize.
Have one in his deck. Maybe two at most.
2.
I suppose you can afford to run 2 in a mono deck.
Yeah. Interesting he went for basic swamp there instead. I guess it lets him Fatal Push without having to take life.
And you've lost the thing. Fatal Push is going to work. Nice. And under control all along. Now you just got to deal with the tokens.
Much more easily done, especially with that he's got 2 Blood-Tithe Harvesters which can trade with it. Trade with 1 each.
That's true, they are smaller. Somehow managing to only be on down to 13 after seeing a couple of Pelucranosses on the board. So
The other thing that's
this is
interesting
a win.
here is that Croxer that's just about to come out is threatening what's the ability it's got?
Oh,
Escape?
come back from the graveyard.
Escape, yeah.
Escape the underworld. Break your chains. Oh,
That's large. Very large.
my Crox is larger than him.
It
and
is.
Will hurt. But now we see the engine.
This fully armed and operational battle station.
Thos is going to make that very castable. Do you take the hits, or do you? You're just going to end up trading these guys for?
Yeah, trade them. I would trade them for tokens to. It dumps cards in your graveyard to get Croxer out all day long. I would trade tokens for those cards.
Why not put the cat out there when you can just put him back in play?
He doesn't have an oven anymore, so maybe he's in the mine.
Oh,
He's
there you
really
go.
good at He's really good at Magic.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anything needs to stay in the graveyard there?
I would keep the creatures in the graveyard, just because he has a singleton Takenoma. But I guess you only really need one of the creatures to stay there because you can only get one of them back.
Kept an oven in the graveyard too, might just been out of loyalty. Anyway to recur artifacts.
That I can see. He's really preying on a fat whiff here.
Well, it's very easy to hit some big things too.
We're just looking for a fistful of lands. That's not a fistful of lands.
But it's got a lot of draw there. And that's how it works. But he only got one use out of that Storm the Festival, so that's a small win. Why wouldn't he untap Nykthos?
Nykthos, he can't activate Nykthos, so it was worth one more mana to him.
Can't activate Nykthos. Why? What's stopping him from doing that?
Twice now he's taking the basic land over the Blood Crypt. I mean, first time made a little sense, but this time I would have definitely gotten the Blood Crypt.
Oh,
tremendous. Really tremendous.
Aragoth's impressed too.
Yeah, I was just about to say, but he did hover it. He's decided not to use. Oh no, he's got a food and two blood tokens, so he doesn't have the treasure. Gigantha is still waiting in the wings as well. The one thing that Plunksy should know here is that this oven should stick because he has used both Besiege as Aragoth.
Point. Now the Ceratops can trample, as can the Troll. But either of them would, of course, run straight into Croxer. Aragoth putting it all out there.
Yeah, I think he's going to be looking to eat all of his Wolfwillow Havens to just go wide and around.
Could be one big swing will do it.
Is that all 4 Wolfwillow Havens that he's drawn?
Yeah, that's what he's communicating right now. So he's got a very wide board. How much life can Plunksy gain into this turn? Just the one.
Poo, all 5. He's got a surplus food, so he can gain 5,
Of
maybe
course.
6. I'm not sure if I'm doing the maths right.
I'd be spending that mana now. What's that?
That's
Oh,
nice.
hello. That's a claim the firstborn, right? Yep.
Yep.
Up to converted mana 3.
Yes, so it can take troll.
And take the troll. Very nice. Oh, the troll just ends up returning to the board in the long run. Not so useful.
The troll wouldn't return to the board, because
No.
it goes to Plunksy's graveyard first, and then the ability would fizzle because it doesn't have a legal target.
Life. Mayhem Devil's nice to see. It's not enough just at the moment.
No, but it will give him something to think about.
Hello.
Oh, nice draw. Don't know if it helps him this turn, but it's gonna
He could
cause
do it
problems.
twice. Oh, he spent all of his wolves, which reduced significantly the strength of the Nixos. Nice to
There's
get
some good
nice to
timing.
get
It's
that
gonna
off the board.
yeah. Watch him have Kiora and something obnoxious in his hand here in the Storm Festival.
You're not wrong.
Oh,
Card
no,
drawing,
just
though. Great
something,
response there.
just something obnoxious.
No recurring Nixos and no card draw on coming into play. Good timing there to remove. Still
Yeah.
just happens to have a lot of mana up his sleeve.
Or Khan as well. I think this is a game. Khan gets Oh no, you can't cast it.
Placed a new unique Nixos on the board. That's caught me out before. Untapping a Nixos, retapping it, playing a new unique Nixos and getting all the mana all over again. Green goes off.
Unless I'm mistaken, though, he can't activate the Nixos as things currently stand.
You said that before, and I still don't understand why.
Because it costs 2 to activate.
Ah, of course. Nothing left up there. Oh!
Yep, there it is.
Make him swing, Producer Plunks.
You can, the tactic there is to make him use as much clock as possible in the unlikely event that he needs to time out. That is, I believe that's a valid way to win.
Green gets it done a little sooner than the clock. Now, what do? Is the Meat Hook Massacre a viable option against go-wide strategies of this mono-green deck?
I don't think so. It definitely it closes an avenue to victory and maybe gains you enough life that if you have a devil and a cat oven going, that it adds up to a win. But I personally wouldn't go down that path just because the Pelucranos, the Old Growth Trolls, and the Pelucranos, the Old Growth Trolls, the Cavalier of Thorns, and the huge threats you can get out of your Khan Wish board are far more likely ways to kill you than going wide. Personally, I prefer to attack this deck through hand disruption and making them top deck. Now, to be fair, Aragoth top decked excellently,
All you gotta do is
even
tap
after his hand
Storm.
was disrupted. So I would have considered bringing in the second. Thought I saw a second Croxer. No, he just took out the first one. Well, again, one of us is in the top 8 and the other one's commentating the top 8. So maybe I'm wrong, but I would have kept Croxer in. I would have kept Croxer in, brought in the Duress and the Go Blank. Even Colligan's Command, and the Forethought Season, just done everything to try and take him off his cards. If he draws out of it, then more power to him. But
you can kill this. If you can kill the early elves, that stops them accelerating into early planeswalkers. What's their name? Thingamy.
Into Khan, that's true.
Or into Khan. That's a way. This deck's not going bigger. It's nice to see the Mayhem Devil. There's Kiora going to do her work. Another elf. Yep. Ouch. And this is where a quick massacre might do a job. But of course you have to. Right? Kiora gets so big so quick too.
Right now, the Kiora isn't threatening too much, except I've just realized he can. If he Cavalier of Thorns here, it's going to suck.
4 mana.
Well, Polukranos is
Luminos.
also not fun to see.
Draw another card, untap a thing. Green doing its stuff. What is that card in Plunksy's hand? Furnace.
It's the Furnace.
Another cat with no engine.
Furnace
Cool.
Reigns. Oh, excuse me.
We didn't get our companion in that last round. It's a case of the sort of a free companion, isn't it? It doesn't really have a place in the deck. It's just there because there's no cost to having it there.
I was just trying to plot out in my head if this was worth it or not. Now he can't jump out of it.
No way to sacrifice it. Yeah, he's just trying to win.
He's trading an elf for Kiora's life here. So Kiora will last the next turn. You'll get 1 untap out of it. Now the one in Aragoth's hand, he needs to have either he needs to already have a Khan or a Nykthos and something.
Really? Got 5.
Or he's going to find himself facing down a lot of damage maybe too quickly. Mind you, he just got his Polukranos back, which I forgot to take into account. There's the Storm the Festival that I was sort of alluding to.
Nuts.
He's calling good game. I don't think there's too much Plunksy could have done if this is good game. Can't. Oh, that's gross. That's so gross.
Oh,
Yeah.
Plunksy's inclined to agree with you. Oh dear. Too big, too hard, too fast.
Yeah. The only thing I think that Plunksy really, and I don't even think it's necessarily wrong. It's just how I personally prefer to attack the deck. Is I would have gone at it 3-hand disruption, and then like all the cats that Plunksy drew could have represented a reasonable clock if you had been able to take out his hand and force him to go to the top of his deck. But the other thing to keep in mind about the mono green decks is that they have so much mana but only 22 land, so they're not even top decking that badly. It's just, I think that's down to a personal preference of how you prefer to attack the deck. So I just think that Aragoth played and drew well, and Plunksy didn't really have a lot of agency as to whether or not he won or lost that match for no fault of his own.
The green deck's intensely resilient too. It's got a lot of stuff. You could do a board wipe, but then there's so many creatures hiding behind being an enchantment, and then he just gets to redraw or draw a Storm the Festival, and suddenly the board's full of things again. All right, we are down to our last top 8 round 1 match. Wonga Sith and Dark Arnis. Top 3rd and 6th respectively in our top 8. What are we looking for Wonga Sith? That's Angels.
Yep, that was
yeah,
Angels, right?
It's okay. It's an Angels I've not personally experimented with, but there's definitely the Angel engine right there with a bunch of guest appearances. I don't know. I something in Giada, so I don't know what half these Angels are. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. I play them all straightforward.
Errant and Giada. I've never heard of Errant before. Oh, this card. Yep. It has flash flying, and you can look at the top card of your library at any time, and you can cast spells with flash or flying from the top of your library.
Settle the Wreckage, 2 of. Pleased to see that. And of course, you've got Coco. That's a all-star in the Angels deck.
Oh, and we're seeing enigmatic fires. So these are a couple of spicy little decks. I mean, normally you wouldn't expect to see Spice from a matchup involving the Angels deck, but
Now,
this is an interesting build for sure.
I'm a big fan of Enigmatic Fires. It didn't do me any good against the mono green. That knocked me straight out of the Swiss, but this deck is very powerful, of course. If you can survive the first couple of rounds, then that's the catch. There's nothing there but below convert mana 3.
Yep.
Not running a companion actually, so doesn't actually
Yeah,
have
he
that
is.
restriction.
He's got Karuga. It's the third card in his sideboard. Oh no, sorry, that's not Karuga, but there is a Karuga in there. The third card is Coma. It's the second card in his sideboard is Karuga.
That's in the sideboard, not as a companion.
I believe in these, it's in the way that this deck list appears.
Okay.
Well, I guess we're about to find out when the match starts. If he did correctly set his companion.
Doesn't start with a
Yeah,
companion.
there it is.
Oh, it's on the
Yeah,
other board, other side. Look at the wrong
it's below
side
his
there. All right, Angels versus Fires.
And we're getting a pretty good start here, I think, from the Angels deck. And one thing that's important to note I saw somebody playing or streaming
Oh,
the Angels deck is that there is 4 lands. Or second Coco's gross.
It's a pretty good start. Dark Artist might be struggling to deal with this pressure. No, just two
Depending
Cocos.
on, I think it depends on what he does with his first couple of, like, if he has the ability to go off pretty quickly, like if he has Fable of the Mirror Breaker into Enigmatic Incarnation, then the world's his oyster.
Don't think Seal the Wreckage is a very useful card in Wonga's deck against Dark Harness here. That might disappear pretty quickly. Oh, we don't like to see that.
That's 2 or less. Okay.
Better than against the Soldiers. Better against the Soldiers than against the Angels.
That's a few targets though. The Youthful Valkyrie and Bishop of Wings would also fall down.
Oh, for sure. But that's where Coco comes into play.
Yeah, these Cocos are going to be backbreaking, I think.
What Darkanus wants to do is establish his tools. Okay, that gives him another drop, but only for 4 land. Ah, okay.
Pay that.
But he's not likely to sacrifice the prison.
He might just go and pitch the fires. No.
Well, which will fetch him up a 5 mana creature.
Which could be Cavalier of Dawn, Elesh Norn, Kenrith, Tolsimir.
He's going to need to fetch up something.
Yeah, there
Something
goes
that's going to
fires.
gain him a life. So the Tolsimir will do the job. It'll remove the 3/3 Flying Angel and gain him a bit of life, which will buy him another turn.
You might also grab Cavalier of Dawn just to torch the Bishop of Wings.
It's not ideal to lose the fires, but it's going to buy him a turn too.
Goes for Elesh.
Oh, shuts off all of the incoming into play stuff. That's really painful. But will it be enough?
Yeah. So that shuts down Bishop of Wings in and of itself, but
yeah, shuts off all the life gain.
It's still a 2-turn clock in the sky.
Yeah. And more to the point, perhaps, it doubles anything on his end when they come to play. So if he can drop another fires or anything that's going to sacrifice, give him a chance to sacrifice, then he's going to start chaining together doubles. Another
He also
fires,
has
get Tolsimir, get 2 fights. Because Tolsimir with
oh yeah,
the Dark Lady in play there. What's her name again?
Elesh Norn.
Elesh Norn. Tolsimir with Elesh Norn in play produces 2 tokens, 2 fights for each token, and 2 life gains for each fight. or something like that. It's really ridiculous. But we do not have another fires. We don't have another sacrifice outlet unless he's prepared to sacrifice the prison.
I wouldn't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but it's just more a case of what does he do with it? I guess he could go and get Heliod, the Radiant Dawn, and then bring back his
He
fires.
gets double triggers, whatever it is he fetches. So he's looking for a 4-mana creature with some coming into play. Double triggers.
Heliod's the only one he's got. Oh no, Omnath. Forgot about
Oh,
Omnath. Draw
draws
2
2
cards.
cards. Coco might be
The
enough.
significant thing about getting 2 cards with Omnath here is that he has 4 basic land types in play, so any leyline bindings he gets cost 2.
It's significant. But we've got a collected company. Oh, not a good score there.
Was
Yeah.
that Instead Coco, untap Coco?
No, he'd already spent 1 Coco. That was just the second one.
Oh, that
on
was just the second Coco. Okay, I was
turn. It's nice to get 2. I didn't see that coming. Double spirits.
from the 2 bishop wings and the death of the legendary Kiara.
Yeah.
But right now this is just looking very much like lethal. Yeah.
But didn't have your flash enchantment removal up his sleeve, unfortunately. Just big, heavy, expensive spells, and that happens a lot with this deck. Is occasionally you get a handful of the expensive stuff, and you can't cheat them into play.
Redain's gonna be doing some work here, I think.
Oh yeah, it's a good one to bring in. Get rid of the wreckage. Yep. Who else has come in here?
Would you
Oh,
consider a mystical dispute to handle enigmatic incarnation? Probably
yeah.
not worth it.
Well, a lot of what the deck's doing is cheating them into play with sacrifices. If you can stop Enigmatic in the first place,
Yeah.
then it will be doing its job. But as we just seen, angels could just go, yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna pummel you with big angels. Occasionally,
Drawing what felt like 70 copies of Collected Company, definitely a factor in that game as well.
it helps. It does help to draw 2 Cocos, or start with 2 Cocos.
Now he bought it out at least 1 copy of Kayla's Reconstruction. Did we see how many in total he bought it out?
Afraid not.
Because the interesting thing about Kayla's Reconstruction is that it's just extra copies of Coco. Not as good, but
It's a
like if you
hand.
want to, it costs 5 to get basically the same effect as Coco.
It's only sorcery speed.
I mean, but it is a
Digs
white card, so
deeper.
it's never going to be as good as the green card.
And it digs deeper.
Yeah.
But it definitely works with the deck. Takes longer to get Kayla's Reconstruction online from experience.
It does. Now, the one thing that's interesting, and I think this is how it would work, just flashing back to my memory of when you have modal double face cards. If you collected Company and hit Redain, you can cast it as the back half, can't you? In the same way that you can use the ultimatum to cast the back half of Volky.
You're going to have to consult someone much better than me to get an answer to that one. I understand where you're going with it. I'm not sure what the 6th level of fine print in the rules are on that one. Get the Redain. Drop the Redain. Choke him. Oh, he's holding it up. What's he holding up? Got a control.
He's got Errant and Giada in his hand, so he can flash that in.
Do they have into the battlefield abilities?
No, but it's just he's representing that he's got Lofty Denial and flashing in is Errant and Giada.
Belt. Good one. It does have Dovin counterspell there, right?
Yeah, Dovin's Veto, yeah.
So he can protect his Bishop of Wings. 2 more Cocos. Well, you know what? Wonga's doing a great job here.
I'm proud of you. Wong said you're really good at Magic the Gathering. And I don't
Dovin.
mean that
Oh, no, he's
nonsense.
quite happy with that. Keep the Dovin for... Oh, 2 Dovins. Excellent work. Well done, Wonga. Doesn't need Redain, does he?
Certainly not right now.
He's practically begging Dark Harness to try and cast Enigmatic Incarnation. And if he doesn't, chuck a Coco in.
And he's held up 6 mana over the last 2 turns. So he's sending very clear signals that he's got the veto in hand or a Lofty Denial. So the second one might be potentially a little backbreaking here because you can't even test spell it out with the fires or vice versa, whichever one you see is more important.
You just throw one away. Fires.
Speaking of fires,
Thank you. Done.
so you're going to be like, oh, good, this is what I wanted to say.
I'll have
Try
that.
and untap next turn and cast the other. Oh, he's got 2. And he's got a
He's
backup
got a
Lofty Denial.
Yeah, this is how you get to the top 8 here, Ties. Oh, I don't even need my blocker anymore. So that's some good sideboarding there.
The other thing as well is that he does have a
Control
blocker because he has 2 Cocos in hand.
True.
But he's not worried. He doesn't want to cast Coco because he's
Derek is
saving for Enigmatic
very
Incarnation.
much. Yep, I'll take that too. Can't be counted itself. Now he's going to have to do something like play some angels. 5 at a time.
Now, does he have a third important enchantment here? It arguably doesn't matter because he's got Lofty Denial. Mind you, you can pay for Lofty Denial.
Yeah, he's going to get away with it if he tries to cast another incarnation. But it's going to cost him. It's going to cost him those treasure tokens, right?
One of
How
them.
much? So the tax
Lofty
is 3.
Denial is it taxes. I believe it's 3. Oh no, 4 will cost all of them, but he will get one back with He could get one back with a goblin.
Okay.
Here it comes.
Here he comes. You got it. You got to do it.
Yeah, you do.
He can pay the tax, but you got to do it. He's never going to hard cast anything more expensive than Manipulation. Because now,
Well, I guess if he's worried about anything else,
well, now that that's stuck, end of this turn, we're just going to see the Atraxis.
yes, that's true.
Here comes Atraxis. Take Atraxis over whatever it is he's got. Yep. Atrax. Ouch.
He didn't even look at what he got with the Traxxer. I guess it puts it into his hand, so you're going to see it anyway.
That's true. I know. It's too much. Let Dark Harness sort his hand out exactly and show us what he picks. What, you look at 10 cards
Yeah, I think
with
it's 10.
Atraxa?
Yep, 10.
Now, with Atraxa and Kiki Jiki online, we've got an Atraxa coming into play
Only 3 cards.
every turn.
Land, Leyline Binding, and a Brazen Borrower.
Too late, she cried. It's not enough. What can Wonga hope to draw? Does he have spot removal for Atraxa?
Not that I'm seeing.
Boarded out the wreckages for good reason.
He's got to go wide here, and he's got to do it. I mean, I don't even see how he can, to be honest.
You can't go wide on that. Oh,
that's large. Oof size.
Lofty it. I can't be counted. Okay.
What would he even do?
He's
the only thing I can think of there is that might have been the time to bring in the mystical disputes.
Yeah, you know what? We just worked out making them pay taxes doesn't really. Once you get past the first couple of turns, they've got
Mm.
when they can afford to pay hard cast their Comus opens. Taxes aren't going to cut it, especially if it can't be counted. But clearly, Darkanus thinks he's got some improvements to make.
It might also be worth just thinking about just leaving your sideboard open for 30 seconds in a situation like this, just to make your opponent think you're sideboarding. Every little percentage point you can eke out is always worth it, and would have cost him nothing except 30 seconds. Well, that was a pretty quick keep, but that is not a fast hand.
Now, why would you pay for that to go in untapped? What are you representing?
Nothing. He's got no green or white 1-drops.
Now, he's got the exile a white card from my hand enchantment, right? Beautiful. Nice to get Redain down early. That's going to make
enchantments at all.
That's going to make big difference.
Yeah, there's no enchantments at all in the.
Wasn't there a Kamigawa X drop in his hand? No, sorry, no, I'm thinking
the X drop is Kaya's Reconstruction.
Oh, sorry, and it's in Darkanus' deck, not in this guy, not in Wonga's. Still, nice to see an early Redain. That's going to make and a Lofty Denial. That's going to really slow down Darkanus. It might just be enough.
Neither of them have any enchantment like the one you're talking about. Are you talking about not Careful Consideration? That's a blue card. The
Probably
one that you can channel to create a mana snake.
Nah, no, it's a card. I've got no idea what I'm talking about. It's not an enchantment either. So
You're talking about the green Pioneer Incarnation.
no, like I'm just trying to work out what possible motivation Wonga had to pay 2 life to drop that land untapped. What could he possibly have had?
So there's 2 explanations for it, and they're kind of related to each other that I can think of after looking at his deck list. One is tilt, and the second is you're faking tilt or acknowledging that the way that this deck, that Darkanus' deck beats you, the 2 left just doesn't matter because you're going to get smashed by like really fat creatures.
So it's the equivalent of swinging with a 0/3 Tree Monkey.
Yeah.
I think you're thinking about the March of Otherworldly Light, Gmod. The White March can exile one card from your hand.
Yep.
But he doesn't have it.
He didn't have it. And Arena gave that game away as soon as it passed very quickly. Whoop. Brazen Borrower. Counter it. Keep Redain up. He can't pay the tax. Oh, I could just put it back in play, I suppose. Doesn't do that.
I think he's keeping the counterspell back now that he's got significant mana for something that it actually will be relevant to.
Good point. So he could get rid of an enigmatic.
And especially given he's got Errant and Giada in hand, like he can just replay a 2/3 threat and end step where it's safer.
Credit for knowing your auto tapper. He made sure that Giada was putting mana into the Angel so that he kept the lands available for Lofty Denial.
Interesting that he didn't attack with Giada there.
It's a vigilant attacker too.
Yeah. And there's no Aganjo on Darkanus' side. Oh, of course, yeah. Sorry, Brazen Borrower would have killed Giada.
Yep.
In hindsight, that was obvious.
Worth keeping Giada for all of the bonuses once he plays the Reconstruction.
The other cool thing about Reconstruction is that next turn he's going to be able to cast Reconstruction for 2 with Lofty Denial backup. So he gets a Collected Company out of it.
Yeah, in effect. Does he get greedy and play the bishop first? No.
I would think about it here, but I think Reconstruction's just better.
Having the Redained Tax and a Lofty Denial is handy. Things are looking good for the Angels. Bishop achieved.
The other interesting thing about that Reconstruction is that next turn he is going to have enough to activate Resplendent Angel. So this is a swift death he's threatening here.
Happy to lose the Angel at this point because the Bishop will give him a replacement spirit.
Does he try and take down the Errant Giada, or does he just take down the original Giada? I think it's just the original Giada he would want here.
He loses his Brazen Borrower.
He won't if he takes down just the regular Giada, because he can use the token for that.
He recognizes he's going to need to keep the Brazen Borrower as a copier for potential Alpha Strike next turn.
Double blocking. Okay. So he's preserving his life total because that Resplendent Angel is threatening a very large swing next turn.
Keeping the Lofty up. As you should. Now,
the interesting thing to note here as well is that he can actually pay for a Lofty Denial and tax on a Leyline Binding. He has exactly enough mana for that.
is that going to do him any good? What is the Leyline Binding?
Oh,
ouch!
Leyline Binding could have taken care of Resplendent Angel, is what I would have been targeting it with.
Who designed that card?
So
That's right,
great card.
Bunch of spirits. Just 2. Oh, wow. Ouch. Oh, double ouch. Supreme Verdict seems like a good card right now.
Oh wow.
It's temporary lockdown.
He can play for he could have paid for Lofty as well. Interesting that did take his treasure token.
So he will get it back. Oh, the treasure token, right? Yeah.
Which was the way that he was going to be able to pay for an Enigmatic Incarnation and Lofty Denial. Now he needs to find an 8th land. Speaking of 8th land, everyone's got plenty of land here.
Doesn't feel like that's a stretch to get an 8th land.
He doesn't have any flyers anymore though, so Lofty Denial just turned off.
Enigmatic on its own also doesn't do anything.
Not anymore, no. Oh, that's a rough draw after. Yeah, he's just highlighted the Elesh Norn.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yep. If you can string together a couple of triggers, Elesh will take over quite handily. Oh, there we go.
Good grief. Good golly grief.
Now, why didn't he counter that?
He can't. He's got no
Lofty.
flyers, so Lofty Denial's only for 1.
Gosh, yeah, double triggers here are going to really do the work.
And he gets his temporary lockdown back, which while it takes all his tokens, it takes Bishop of Wings as well. Oh no, that's right. It doesn't give it back. It gives an illusion token.
This is nuts.
Wow.
Gained all of that life.
This is game. 3,
They
6, 9, 13 next turn. So it's not game next turn. Oh, no, not like this. Because you can't take the token with Skyclave Apparition. And obviously it doesn't do anything on come to play anyway. So he's got one more draw step.
Who needs?
Oh, he's going to draw so many cards. It's going to be like,
Good
well, that's
game,
plus
Wonga.
6 cards. Oh, 4 cards, okay.
Who needs
be
Enigmatic
others.
Incarnation when you can just, draw and play Elish Norn?
Creatures.
No. Well, I give
Yeah.
that game. I give that game to Supreme Verdict. Well done,
Yeah,
Supreme
that was a
Verdict. Good play, Supreme Verdict.
massive Supreme Verdict.
Mhm.
And that will send Darkhanus through.
Supreme Verdict will do Angels any day.
All right, so that will set up our semi-finals. Producer Plunks Juicer, do we have the semi-final bracket by chance?
Just so we can.
No, we don't really.
That's
Don't.
unfortunate.
Come on,
So
it's a
we'll
big
have to
ask,
read it.
Ties. Come on.
All right, we'll do it by we'll wing it. So we have
It's not
Insanity.
Shorty.
Insanity went through over Yazzie G. I've already forgotten who won the second game.
This is a high end graphics here.
We
You can
got
give it-
Insanity got through.
Yep.
Mark Wallbang got through.
Mark Wallbang
So we
got
got
through.
two
Yep.
mono
And-
white players. And then
That's right,
Aragoth
mono white.
smashed Plunksy. And Aragoth will be facing off Darkhanus.
So the first semi-final are they locked in for their decks for the whole top 8?
Yep.
Yes, that's why you had to do deck submission. Yeah.
Yep. So semi-finals will be Intellectual Giant match. Mono white on mono white. Aragoth in giant font, just to illustrate the point. He's not playing mono white. What's he playing? He's playing mono green. Darkhanus.
So we have
the colors.
three people playing one color and one person playing all the colors.
You know what? I know who I'm barracking for. Come on,
All the
Darkhanus.
colors.
Go the 5 color decks. Enigmatic's gonna well, I look. I said it would struggle against the Angels, but
It's got answers. I
managed
think
to
the
find
important thing.
answers. Well, it managed to find the Elish Norn, which will answer a lot of the Angels, and of course the Supreme Verdict. Who do you think is going to win out of mono white versus mono white? I think mono white's got a
mono
good
white
chance.
might.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to break down the differences between the individual lists and see if we can come up with something a bit more
Insightful.
insightful. Yeah, would be a good word than that.
Mark was running a couple of my favorites, the Settles, wasn't he? Which could be handy. He was running the more of the prison.
Yeah, so he Mark Wallbang had soul partitions over Insanity. Insanity has ossification, and well, I guess Mark Wallbang has 2 ossification in his sideboard, but Insanity has 4 in the main deck. I think game 1 I would tend to favor Insanity.
And it's worth pointing out that Mark will have the play as the higher ranked top 8 seed. He will get the honors, which I think will be very important in a mono white.
I think Insanity's list is a lot more streamlined and clean when you look at just in terms of how the mirrors faces up against itself. So in general, I would favor Insanity in this particular matchup. But it also comes down to whose deck is more kind to them.
Well, it's going to be, yes. I can't see much to separate them, to be honest. There's Brutal Cathar. Insanity's got 4 Brutal Cathars.
Yeah.
So and that will be a very important point, my guess.
He's basically he's got Insanity just has 8/4 Oz in terms of his creatures, and Mark Warbank has one more creature, but has, by virtue of going one fewer Brutal Cathar, and which adds 2 Luminarch Aspirant. If he gets his Luminarch Aspirants, that will be a really important feature for Mark Warbank, because obviously Luminarch Aspirant is a mirror breaking card, because then you have the same creatures, but yours are bigger. And the other thing to keep in mind is that one extra creature that Mark Warbank has is made up for by more removal in Insanity's list, because he has 4 main deck Ossification as opposed to 2 main deck Soul Partition. Well, I guess if you're adding Brutal Cathar, it's 4 Ossification, 4 Brutal Cathar against 3 Brutal Cathar and 2 Soul Partition. So there's more removal in.
It comes down to who has the most Brave the Elements in their opening hand.
That's also important, is that Mark Warbank has one more Brave the Elements. So right now we know that the 4 people we didn't just talk about are getting $25 each from Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar and their share of invitational points. And the big bucks are still up for grabs. And we will bring those matches to you in a future video. For now, though, for myself, Tyes, for JMud, and for producer Plunksy, who unfortunately is getting one of those $25 allotments, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next time.
And you.
Thank you, everyone. See you later.